If you find a kid that loves something, it's amazing what they can do.
I think it's fundamentally about kids finding passions, and as a school and an educational institution, or us giving them the time to really explore those passions. It's, in some senses, it's turning school on its head.
Every kid has a passion. Everybody has something that they love to do.
ARP is the Academic Research Program. It's a 4-year program at Liggett.
The first year, ARP 9, we really hone in on the skills of finding credible sources. What does it mean to have a credible source? In 10th grade, U.S. history is taught through the lens of Detroit. And so how do you use a site-based learning experience, artifacts, as part of the research process and know that those are resources? And finally, in 11th grade, they really figure out what they're passionate about, what do they like to learn about. And this year, I really honed in on what do you like to do?
I'm really interested in the arts, music and dry media art.
I like to work with people. I like to do something that has an impact.
I've always been interested in engineering. I'm actually a part of my school's robotics team, and also I've always been really passionate about problem solving and the environment.
Well, I think it's a radical thought process because I think a lot of educators are really stuck on the fact that their content matters, right? And the content does matter, but if a student isn't learning it the correct way, then they're never going to learn it. And what we're doing with this program is teaching them how to learn.
I've been familiar with a lot of the seniors' projects, so I remember them as juniors, going into it. And it's weird to see them now so far past that point, and they're all such experts on their topics. So knowing that I'm going to be there next year is really cool to me, and I can't wait to start the process.
Talking to them, they said it was a lot of work, but the presentation process is really fun. And so I don't know, I'm kind of excited for that to be me in a year, but also a little overwhelmed.
Growing up, my dad was a firefighter, so I wanted to be just like him. My brothers and I grew up, we always wanted to be firefighters. And as I started getting older and talking about it, my parents were kind of like, well, that might not be the best profession to go into as a woman. And so I kind of shied away from it. And then when I started with this class and they said, research something you're passionate about, I kind of came back to this. And so I started to think, why did I shy away from it, and how can I turn that into a project that could be meaningful to me?
What was great about Megan is she was really willing to do the hard work. So she went into the deep research on female first responders and their experiences.
I determined that the most valuable source of information was going to be firsthand accounts from female first responders. So I developed a survey, about a 30-question survey. The survey was sent nationwide to departments from every state, and I received back 160 responses from 23 different states and about 35 different cities.
To this day, she's getting emails from these administrators saying, send us your results. We want to know what you found. We want your work to inform how we work with female first responders. For me, in 20 years as an educator, probably one of the most special moments because it was real, it was meaningful, and she had made a difference in the world.
My question is, what commonalities exist amongst the experiences of Black students who attend private schools?
One of the things that I mandated for Kayla was, okay, once you figure this all out, what's our next steps? Because if we're going to grow as a school and become culturally competent, then I need your help.
I just thought it was interesting how all these people from different walks of life, from West Bloomfield to Detroit, and we all had the same experience.
I think it was originally born out of her own personal experience and saying, I have experienced these things at Liggett that I'd like to investigate.
She came to me and said, if I wanted this to go on and figure out what next steps were going to be, then we have to make this documentary. And she had never done it before.
It's raw and honest. The things that the students said were very real and genuine. I want it to be as impactful and effective as it can be. And so I feel face-to-face, seeing their expressions and their feelings, and I feel that was very necessary.
For the first time in a very long time, it was very nice for Kayla to see that, yes, there are challenges to being a black student in a private school setting, but there are also some wonderful positive experiences.
What was amazing is, as her project evolved, it became bigger than her. And she started to understand that, and it's not, this is about me and my experience. This is about the common experience of lots of kids like me.
Students have expressed a want for more diversity in the school and more open conversations. And so just with what I learned here, I'm already working on an initiative for Liggett next year with SDOC, like saying, hey, like this is what the students want and this is how we can do it.
So my project is to find out a more economical way to build a pitching machine that can be adapted for specific pitchers and hitters.
Anthony is pitching machine. Anthony is probably the greatest robotics student we've ever had. He is the heart and soul of our robotics team, and he knew that his project would in some fashion involve robotics. His other passion is baseball. It was in a conversation he and I were having in the 11th grade year, and he sort of said, you know, what if you could get a pitching machine to mimic a pitcher, a real live pitcher?
One of the things that he realized is the mechanical and electrical were almost nearly impossible to work in a year-long project. So one of the things we decided on was, why not just make the program, we'll write the program and do a simulation, a 3D simulation on the computer.
I've been told by many people that it's like a very interesting project. Like they really want to learn more about it. They hope I pursue it more.
Here's the really exciting story about Anthony is he's describing this project to the professors of the department of the engineering school he's going to. And that the dean of the engineering school said, you know, this is the kind of thing we want our students to do at the undergraduate level. You're already doing it, and we're going to get out of your way and let you continue to do it.
I knew I wanted to do something with engineering or maybe modifying an object, but I wasn't sure what. And I thought that, hey, solar power is an awesome renewable resource. And then a friend of mine told me about how Army drones, when they die, it's a possibility that they'll fall into the wrong hands. And so maybe finding a different way to power them was necessary.
Ari is very heavily involved in our robotics team. She loves engineering and that kind of electrical mechanical engineering. She knew that she wanted to do something with drones. She found them fascinating.
For the last 3 or 4 months, she's done nothing but take a factory drone, repurpose it, repart it, you know, develop her solar panels, and extend its flight life. And it's the kind of project that, on a sort of a micro scale, will someday have macro impact for her.
Were there frustrations? Absolutely. I mean, at the last minute, she needed a soldering gun, and she's soldering away. And but that was the beauty. She really took that engineering process and played with it and did a great job. She actually went to the Detroit Science and Engineering Fair, won an award, got a scholarship. It was great.
I would say the hands-on was my favorite part of the whole experiment. It really gave me a chance to really understand it, because I mean, you can read all about it, but until you actually do it, I feel like that's when it really clicks. I've always been interested in fish. I think they're a really interesting animal.
Jeffrey's neat because Jeffrey is the leader of the fishing club. So knows and loves fishing. He loves marine biology.
My project was studying the effect of exponential growth from fish hatcheries and seeing what effect those fish hatcheries have on Midwest freshwater resources.
There's proposals right now to put these huge fish farms and hatcheries either in the Great Lakes or near the Great Lakes, in the river system near the Great Lakes, and then just release these fish and all the waste they produce into the Great Lakes. Ultimately a real problem, right? Because you're changing the water chemistry and you're going to destroy ecosystems, and he's passionate about that.
If you could capture Jeffrey's face every single day that experiment was going on, he would be my poster child right now, because there was excitement. He'd come back and tell me the results. He'd go in there and test the results. He worked closely with Mr. Rossi. The DNR was very interested in his results. It was all a win-win.
I frequently refer to it with the kids I work with as the pivot, right? You've become the expert. You understand the great body of research, literature, you know, business information, whatever your topic is. You've become the expert. And students that can make that pivot in a creative fashion, it's really exciting.
My project topic is what elements are important in a choreography in order to make a performance captivating for the audience.
He was very willing to say, for a moment, I'm going to set true improvisation and creative expression to the side and learn the history of choreography and learn the terms of choreography and learn, read the great texts of choreography and then come back and then re-embrace this passion.
I feel like my whole view on choreography is broadened a million times. Also, to a technical level, what kind of movement is the best and what's dynamics, what's energy, and what's isolation, and sometimes how to use stillness. Because when you think of dancing, you're constantly thinking of moving. But actually, stillness is the big part of choreography.
Most of us thought that Hunter had been dancing his whole life. I mean, if you look at him, you would just imagine that. And here he is dancing after, a year and a half.
Why I started is actually my father was asking me, okay, what do you want to do in college? I don't want to do finance, I don't know the business. It's not what I loved. I love just creative stuff.
It is moving. It's a wonderful piece of choreography that he's created and that he can take with him.
Imagination, discovery, all of those pieces, those are what genius consists of. And that's the object of the curriculum, is not just to give you stuff to think about, it's to make you a thinker. It's to allow you to be able to ask questions.
No matter what their challenges were, or no matter what my challenges were as we tried to get through these projects, they show up. They come in, they are able to talk about their projects and their learning process, about their frustrations, about their challenges, about their findings, and really feel proud of what they have accomplished.
What's most exciting for me as a teacher in the program is they've done something that really matters. It matters to them, it's personally relevant, it's a passion, and it also matters in the greater world. And if you can have school be something that matters to kids and matters in the world, you've changed school. You fundamentally have changed school, and that's what we're trying to do at Liggett.